Okay, rock and roll.
Ready?
Right. Would.
Start by introducing yourselves and telling us why we're here today.
All right. I'm John Tucker, and this is Lara Alexander. We're here today because we're going to become independents, and we are leaving the Liberal Party. We're leaving the Liberal Party because of a few issues, mainly about we're worried about where we are headed with debt, with the stadium, and also with Marinus Link, because we want to know the full facts of what the deals have been done behind closed doors. We haven't, as backbenchers, been provided any of that information, and we would be, we want to ensure for the Tasmanian taxpayers that this stadium doesn't become a nightmare for them going forward as we go forward in the future generations.
How do you think your relative electorates feel about this decision? They voted in 2 Liberal members. Do you think they'll be disappointed that you're now? Do you think they'll see it as a betrayal that you're now serving independents?
I would say to you that the people that voted for me voted for myself and know my family. I think that they would have been evenly split between Labor and Liberal voters, especially in my own area in the northeast. A lot of that area through Scamander, St Mary's, St Helens, and down the east coast, a lot of that area is a Labor voting area. It was David Llewellyn's seat before I went in, basically. So I'd be fairly confident that those people would support me again because they know where I stand, they know what I stand for, and that's the most important thing, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today, because I think this is it's important for the taxpayer.
Pretty much similar for me. Just a little bit over 12 months ago, I was sitting in a different situation, and I never imagined that I'll get to this moment today, but I have to be truthful to what I believe in, and I would like to hope that those voters that have voted for me just because I was the blue colour, they realise that this is a difficult decision, but ultimately my interest at heart are for the Basque constituents and for Tasmanians in general in relation to this very important matter.
How confident are both of you that your electorates are behind you in your stances at the stadium?
We can't be 100% confident that they're behind us. We can only go on what people have been saying to us in the general public when we're on the beat, and it has been it's overwhelming in our opinion that people are concerned about the debt and where things are headed and what our priorities are going forward.
Do you think that this move will be enough to derail the stadium?
No, myself and Lara do not believe that we're going to derail the stadium. We are interested to have a look at what the contracts say and what the business case say. If the business case stacks up and everything looks right, I don't have a problem with supporting the stadium. So I suppose you could say I'm sitting on the fence with this. I want to see what the books say.
So from my perspective, I can echo what John has said, but for me it is important, and I've been trying to understand, and I guess that for a lot of Tasmanians and a lot of our constituents, the question is that we all started united as a state in supporting a team, and then somewhere along the line it became a package with a stadium, and I have not been able to understand where did that come from, where's the piece of information, when that decision was made, who participated in that decision. So there are a number of questions, in addition to the debt, in addition to the future plan. There's a number of questions that are unanswered, and there are a number of questions that have created this big anxiety and split in our community. And I think people deserve to get an answer to all these genuine questions.
What was the Premier's response when you handed your resignation to him?
Probably he wasn't surprised, I'd say. But I guess it's for him to answer that question, his feelings.
How will your departure affect the upcoming budget? Will you both guarantee supply?
Yes, definitely.
We will guarantee supply, but we are also asking that the Premier gives full transparency with the stadium and also with Marinus Links, that it goes under the major projects so that Parliament can look at these projects in depth and find out how this stacks up for Tasmania.
So definitely we do not want to derail the state. We do not want to create more anxiety or a situation where everyone's wondering what's going on. So definitely around the budget, we will be there to support. But as John said, yes, there is the big question that we need to understand.
And you need to also understand that myself and Lara are still, we believe in the Liberal values still. Yeah, it's just about the debt load that we can see that's going ahead. Where it worries me greatly, the commitment with the GST exemption, how that deal was done, why that wasn't done before that deal was struck with the federal government, why are we now trying to negotiate after the fact?
What would it take for you to rejoin the party down the track?
With going independent, I don't see a future in going back to the party, but I believe that you never say never. Politics, one day in politics is a long day. Yeah, so what the future holds, I don't know, but usually when you become an independent, and me and Lara are well aware of this, there's no going back.
Yeah.
Will either of you instigate a vote of no confidence?
No.
Will either of you support one if someone else were to bring one?
Not at the moment.
No, not at the moment.
So
no.
you still have confidence in Jeremy Rockliff to be Premier?
Yes.
We would, yeah. Yeah.
Are you both resigning as you have been overlooked in ministerial positions?
No.
No.
So, Mr. Tucker, were you annoyed for the Tallis as a minister of your parliamentary experience?
No, I had other issues going on at the time, and the Premier knew about those issues. It's a bit like the 3 times previous before that, if you want to talk about, with Nick Street, Matty Ogilvie and Joe Palmer. I was overlooked at those 3 times. I had a land clearing issue going on at that time, and the decision was made that I couldn't be in Cabinet for that reason.
Is it true you're annoyed that Madeleine Ogilvie has not been removed as Race Minister, allowing a promotion for portfolio?
The discussion around Maddie and what's going on there with the racing industry, I have some serious concerns, but for her to be removed, that's a decision for the Premier to make.
Ms. Alexandra, why leave the party after such a short period?
I think that 12 months, and especially the last few months, 12 months is enough to understand how much of a difference you can make. And the last few months have been extremely difficult because I have struggled internally with my professional training experience, and I cannot, and as well as the work I have had over the many years in the not-for-profit sector, I cannot just stand back quietly in view of this magnitude of debt. So it's been quite a personal conflict and a lot of reflection, and it is a difficult process. I fully get it. It is a very difficult decision, but I feel I have to do it.
You said that you don't want to disrupt the government, yet your actions will send it into minority and might even end it. Can you explain this contradiction?
I don't believe it will end it, because all we're asking for is transparency, and we're asking for transparency and everything to be clearly articulated for the Tasmanian community to understand, especially around this very, very big project, which is the stadium. As I said before, there are a number of questions that have been left unanswered. Many people have asked those questions. We have a Public Accounts Committee hearing that is happening, and there are questions to be answered, and people deserve to have an answer. They have put their trust and their faith when they voted in 2021. So I think it's only fair to ensure that we get that transparency.
I would ask the question to the Premier, if he is worried about being transparent with those 2 projects, why?
Do other people in the party feel the
We haven't discussed this with the other members of the party. That's a decision for them.
How did you come to this, to decide to step down from voting?
I think some of our constituents, they've sort of talked to both of us in a sense. So, so it's come to that discussion.
This hasn't been an easy decision. This has been a decision that's taken a lot. It's been happening probably over the last 6 to 8 months that we've been discussing some of these issues and what's been going on with transparency. And I've always been brought up, to be honest. And if something isn't right, stand up.
Lara, you got elected on the government's preferences of the last election. Have you discussed this with him?
No.
Can the Liberal Party win another election, or do you think Tasmania will now see it as unstable?
Of course they can win another election.
Yeah. And I think the critical thing is for the Liberal Party to get back to the bread and butter issues, because this is what got the Liberal Party elected before here in Tasmania, and I think going back to the bread and butter issues and being transparent and honest with the community, that's all the community is asking. It's pretty basic and pretty simple.
You're now both going to stand as independents. What issues are you both going to stand for?
Although at the present moment it'll be for transparency. They're the two issues on the stadium and Marinus Link for myself. But going forward there are a number of other issues that I will be bringing forward, and I will bring them forward as I see fit.
Are you both planning on running as independents in the next election?
That is our intention, but you never say never. I can't predict what the future's going to hold. I could drop dead tomorrow.
So if we get back to that question to you as well,
Sure.
what issues you'll bring forward?
Most importantly for me is community issues, as I engage and I have engaged with people over the last 12 months. And this is again what's contributed to my decision today, is having the dialogue and hearing issues and hearing concerns from people and genuine concern. So for me, they will formulate my position and my policy around having community consultation, having grassroots input in decisions, ensuring that as much as possible is being done around cost of living, around supporting people with services when they struggle, around housing and around health. There's also around education, infrastructure. We are talking about a stadium, but we all know that there are other sports in the state, and there are many other young people that do all sorts of other sports, and they deserve to be as equally as supported. And everyone needs to be valued. And so these are the fundamental issues for me, is that how do we blend everything in and to support people, because times ahead are not going to get any easier, they're going to get tougher. So we need to be prepared.
So you want to redistribute funding that's being dedicated to the stadium to go into?
I would love to. And I'm sure that each one of the 5 electorates have their own issues. And wouldn't it be wonderful to actually establish a priority of what are the fundamental issues in each electorate around sports venues, around housing, because each electorate has its own identity. So it would be wonderful if funding would be made available to specifically address specific issues.
Can we just guarantee and confirm exactly your stance on when undoubtedly a no confidence motion will be brought on against the government? You said you wouldn't support one at the moment. What exactly does that mean? What would need to change for you to support a no confidence motion brought on by Labor and the Greens?
If the Premier doesn't meet our terms, which is about the transparency with the stadium and also with Marinus Link, and that means releasing the contracts or everything that's been involved, the deals with the federal government, then yeah, we would have to reconsider our position.
So certainly you are keeping it a real life possibility that you would vote for no confidence in the government?
No, well, yeah, that it is keeping it alive, but I don't envisage that will happen, or that's what we are thinking. But who knows what the future will hold.
And we do believe, and we want to give the benefit of the doubt for the Premier and those people that have advised him to prepare that disclosure and to work through. So at this stage, this is why we're saying we are not, if it's so soon after our announcement, if a vote of no confidence is being brought up so soon after our announcement today, the answer will be no, we will not support a vote of no confidence so soon, because we've got budget and we've got other significant issues that we need to get out of the way. But we are hoping that, as John said, in the immediate future that transparency will be worked through.
But down the line, it is a possibility.
We're not planning on bringing the government down. If that's what you're asking us, we're not planning on bringing the government down. We want to work with them and get some transparency to happen for the Tasmanian taxpayers.
Yeah, going back to the question I asked before, though, you're saying that you don't want to bring the government down. Is it very likely that you'll bring the government down? If there's a possibility that it will bring the government down, what do you have to say to that? Like, can you explain that conversation?
Well, we'll have to deal with that when that happens, but I'm of the opinion that this won't happen, and I'm hopeful that this won't happen.
Do you think that the premiership of Jeremy Rockliff is tenable? Will he stay premier for the time being?
I hope that Jeremy Rockliff stays as premier.
Do you think that any of your other Liberal Party members will step down after seeing what you guys are doing here today?
I can't answer for my other Liberal colleagues.
How confident are you that you'll be able to get policies through the Parliament? Are we now going to be in a position where everything's going to go into deadlock and things will struggle to get over the line?
I believe I have some very good negotiation skills. I have very good relationship with the crossbenchers as well as my own party colleagues, and I plan on using those negotiation skills. I think that we can work all together to get the best outcome for Tasmania. I'm sick of the fight that goes on. Oh, well, we've got to wedge this one, or we've got to wedge that one. Well, I'm not like that. I want to work with people. We're here to represent Tasmania. I'm here to represent the people of Lions. Lara's here to represent the people of Bass, and that is what we are about.
And that's certainly, and for myself, over the last 12 months, I have worked very closely across the bench in getting a few significant issues resolved for constituents, and I have never looked at the political colour as something that will stop me from trying to find consensus on issues. I think you need to work hard, and one way of representing constituents is to actually set aside any political or party issues and just work on the actual issue and work with everyone.
And I think a good example of that was yesterday with Lara's motion. A very good bipartisanship support right across the floor in the Parliament.
Lara, has your stance on conversion practices ban played a role in your decision, and have you attempted to delay legislation that Jeremy Rockliff plans to introduce?
No, absolutely not. To be honest, that is something that has not crossed my mind. No, not at all.
Will you still support it when the bill comes through this year?
I think that it's for Jeremy Rockliff to prepare legislation and make sure that legislation is put forward for consultation and for people to see exactly. And it's not for me as a politician. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a politician. And I've always taken the view that you talk to both sides of an argument, and then when legislation is prepared, then everyone, all I'm asking is for everyone to have the opportunity to look at the legislation and just make up their mind.
What about the voice to Parliament? Obviously your views are different to what the Premier has. Has that played a role in it?
Probably the voice has been a part of it, but a small part. As I said, I still reflect back to my professional training, which is that of an accountant and economist. The voice has been a small part in that respect that, again, there has been no sufficient information provided, and I cannot I cannot support something that at this stage for me it looks like differentiation based on race, and I cannot do that. I think that all people's needs need to be looked at it equally, regardless of their sexuality, their gender, their race, their colour. There shouldn't be a label. People are people. So,
Can also say there with that, that in my opinion with the voice, that it seems to be a city, rural and regional divide on this.
Yep.
With where people are coming from, and it's something that I will be tackling myself on going forward, rural and regional areas. Also, like, I was very pleased with the budget with the bulk billing for rural and regional areas, because I was very annoyed with the announcement of the UCCs in Devonport, Launceston and 2 in Hobart, and they were going to be bulk billed, and I was asking the question, why wasn't the rest of the state going to be bulk billed? But I'm very pleased with the announcement that is being looked at and sorted out.
Well, that's not just one moment, but going back to the voice, how does that stack up in your role as a state politician? It's a federal voice. It's not something that's going to be enshrined necessarily
for me it's important because if I, as a state MP, I'm not clear about what this is about, I can only imagine what it means for people out there on the street. It just means that the whole structure and the whole argument around the voice has not been explained properly. So I do reserve my right to understand and to be provided with more information, and I totally appreciate it's a federal issue. But from my perspective, as being asked the question whether I support it or not, which that was the question, I said that as it is right now and as it's been presented and formulated, no, I cannot support it.
But why are you leaving your position as a state MP when it's a federal issue and you're saying that this is one of the reasons?
It's not, and that's what I said at the original question, the initial question. It was a very small part, it's not a significant. For me, the biggest and most important issue is around the debt and around the big projects which will attract a significant amount of debt. So I would probably say, if I was to put a percentage, 99% of my decision is based on what we've just talked before. And maybe the voice is like a 1%, but it's more around the fact of consultation and the fact that a position was presented by the Premier from his perspective, which I appreciate, and it's you know, we're all free to have our position, but that position was presented without consultation. I did not feel consulted in that position regarding the voice.
How long have you both been thinking about running as an independent?
That's a good question. I've been tossing around whether I stay in Parliament or whether I do become an independent over the last 6 to 8 months. It probably came more apparent to me in the last 8 weeks where I was headed to be honest.
Probably, I would say, the last 3 months, 3-4 months, similar, yeah.
Lara, do you feel like you have freedom of speech while being in government, and how important is that to you?
Freedom of speech is absolutely so important to me. I go back to, I grew up in a communist country, and we always looked across the fence at how free people were in the Western world. In 1989, I was old enough to be on the streets, and we hope that, you know, we will get that freedom of speech, and it is important for me. We don't want to kill football in the state. We just want for people to understand the details of how we arrived at a package. We certainly do not want to kill football.
We want to ensure that the AFL dream does not become a nightmare for the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Just thank you very much, everyone, and it is an extremely difficult decision, and we just hope that people will make up their mind and maybe understand why we're doing what we're doing. It is hard.
Thank you.
Thank you.